the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 284 of the Super Speedway Podcast, recorded Tuesday, June 27th, 2023. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. Getting a little late start for us tonight, James. I hope you don't fall asleep on us, old man.
Oh, well, I'm tired, but, you know, it's getting harder for me, man. You know, my brother turned 21. I'm struggling, but it's only 9 o'clock here, so this is actually technically past my bedtime.
Right, I was going to say. It's okay. Yeah, just like the race was this weekend.
Yeah, it was, but I stayed up for the race, so.
Mr. complains about, or wants weeknight races, but complains about a Sunday night race.
Oh, I can't. Yeah, it's hard. I get tired, you know?
Yeah.
Eric, if I didn't have something to complain about, I wouldn't be me.
I had my sleep schedule all screwed up this weekend. I stayed up to like 3:30 in the morning on Friday night. I don't know
what in the heck were you doing?
Dude, I have no idea, but it's taken me until yesterday to get it back. And
I wake up. So I wake up, not every day. I'm not going to say I wake up every day. But I wake up at 3:55, 4 o'clock. So you and I may have crossed the late night beam, I guess, with the waking up schedule and going to bed. I haven't seen 3:30 in a while.
Well, see, I have not seen 3:30 from the back half, probably ever. It's always from the front half.
Yeah. Well, when I was in college, man, me and the boys would be playing video games and stuff, and it was you know, watching the sun come up at times. And I don't know how thinking back on it now, it's probably why I'm so tired all the time anyway. I used it all up.
A few years ago, when I was working at Tri-City still, I pulled an all-nighter when my mom and I went to Washington, D.C. Basically, I drove to her house after Tri-City. I was there for like 2 hours before we had to leave for the airport. And that was... So then I went to D.C. and we went and toured around, saw a bunch of sights in D.C., and I think we were out until like 9, 10 o'clock that night, and I've never been that freaking tired in my life. My God.
Yeah, we're too old for that, Eric. We can't do that stuff. So these late night races, man, you know, I love the idea of a week. You know, I'd still love the idea of the weeknight race.
Yeah.
But like a 300-miler.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you.
I still love it.
That was the one good thing about COVID. I enjoyed a couple races during the week, and that they were weeknight races. That was awesome.
Yep.
But so we did do some racing this weekend, James. We had the off week. Everybody came back this week, including Noah Gragson, who returned this week.
I came back.
You came back, yeah. And heading down to Nashville. And guess who else is back, James? Ross Chastain is back. I don't have a sound bite now.
No, that's all right. Well, you know, Eric, this race, this win, it was as sweet as a Georgia watermelon. Boy, I tell you. I tell you what, Eric, I read my books. I trusted in the Lord. You know, there was a lot of people that got on me about this podcast, but I'm here, man. I'm ready to go. I did it. I broke through. Just like Ross Chastain.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh man, he is, you know, God love him. He's pretty funny on the microphone, because I don't know if he knows where he's going.
Yeah.
He's like it's not Ricky, it's not Will Ferrell.
Ricky Bobby?
No, it's like Michael Scott. You know how Michael Scott would get to talking and he didn't know where he was going?
I don't know what was better, the Ross Chastain post-race interview or the Carson Hocevar one on Friday.
Oh, Carson was really fired up.
That's good stuff. I mean, both
really
of them
fired up.
Both of them finally got a win without wrecking somebody, so that was good.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Not a problem with either of those. That was fantastic racing on both sides.
So the talk in the podcast this week is how, oh my gosh, Ross Chastain's back from, you know, he really wasn't down because of what was said to him and blah, 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 blah. And I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, crap.
Ross Chastain got a win, which is awesome. I mean, I will say one thing, James. This is the thing that you've been saying that Ross Chastain hasn't had. He won a race. He essentially dominated a race.
Yes, he did.
He won it cleanly.
Yep.
It wasn't a fluke. So he finally got that thing that you said he hasn't had. So he's on the right track to
He crossed
earn your
off all the
respect.
boxes. I tell you what, Eric, that move late in the race, this is kind of where I was like, okay, Ross, all right, you're showing me something.
Yeah.
Because I think Ross Chastain 4 weeks ago, I don't think that driver 4 weeks ago wins this race.
Yeah.
Because he put those guys 3 wide, that lap traffic, and those guys were dogging him. Eric Almirola was dogging him.
Oh yeah, which is why he did it, he said.
Yes, but he wasn't out of control.
Yeah.
He did everything. I honestly, I'm glad you phrased it that way, because everything I feel like I've been screaming about, I was like,
yeah, holy
crap, I think it clicked. Because
I thought as soon as this happened on Sunday night, I'm like, I can't wait to tell James, like, look, this is what you've been saying Ross Chastain can't do. I mean, he's only done it once, but still,
yeah,
this is the thing you've been saying that he needs before he can be considered a threat.
Yes, and he crossed off. I mean, Eric, literally every checkbox that you need to have to consider yourself a real contender. He checked them all off. He battled a faster car, and Martin Truex Jr. held him off. And just drove. I mean, this is the best race he's ever driven.
Oh, for sure.
Unbelievably, like, really well crafted. Like, drove like a master of his craft, which is something, like I said, I have not seen out of him. And if I don't know, like I said, I know he struggled for a couple of weeks there, and I don't know if the speed in the car is there every single week. But if something clicked after this race, maybe he is that guy that I didn't think he could be, and maybe that's all it takes is, maybe you have to hit rock bottom and have a massive breakthrough
right.
like this. It's easier said than done. Right.
And I mean, I think James, and I know I do this every week when somebody new wins, we go, oh, now he's a championship threat.
I'm not going to do that yet, but
the thing is Ross Chastain was a championship threat last year and he wasn't refined. If he truly is refined now, again, it's one race, so you can't say that he's turned a corner necessarily, but he did everything right here.
Yep.
If he can go into the playoffs with momentum and a refined attitude, he could and especially when nobody's really taken charge at this point. I mean, I would argue right now, if you really look at things, the championship favorite right now is Martin Truex Jr. Because even though he didn't win here, but he finished second. It's as good as a win. Essentially, when when you're looking at the field right now, and how even everybody is. I mean, Kyle Busch has 3 wins. William Byron, those, but they're not. I think Truex right now has the most momentum of any of them, but nobody's really stood out as like, oh my God, this is the guy. He's guaranteed in the final. I mean, any one of those 3 that I just mentioned could very easily miss the final 4. Very easily.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
none of them could make it. I mean.
Yeah. I think for me, I've got the bucket of contenders right now is Truex, Larson, and Byron.
Yeah.
I mix it. Pick one.
See, the problem with Larson is that he's either on or terrible right now.
Yeah. yeah. And he was grumbling a little bit about speed.
Yeah.
But he still managed a 5th place finish in this one. But
right.
Byron is still really fast.
Yeah.
And I mean, he racked up a bunch of stage points in this one. He had a good clean day. Like
I know.
I still think
I know he got me lots of points this week, James.
Yeah, he did.
Kinda nice.
Well, we're going to talk about that a little later.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that was a solid race from Byron. Doesn't need to win every week. And Martin, like you said, Martin's coming on. He's won, probably the most recently, right before we took a break.
I think Truex is the scariest right now.
And he's done it before. That's the thing with Byron, right?
Yeah.
He still has to climb the mountain again.
Yep.
He hasn't done that yet. And Ross, say what you want. Ross has been to, the neighborhood. He's he's had property just outside of the championship, the championship neighborhood. So he's like right there.
Byron hasn't been in the Final 4 yet, right?
No, he's not. No.
And I mean, Chastain at least has that experience of that pressure.
Byron's he's tended to cool off, but he's not cooling off to the extent that he has in the past. I think
I think he's obviously been the most consistent.
They got the fastest car and the fastest pit crew right now. That helps.
But Truex has confidence.
Yeah, and the Gibbs cars seem to have a little bit of life to them. Like Denny Hamlin, we should mention, he led a ton in this race and had a really good day too. I mean, those 3 guys, Hamlin, Chastain, and Truex, they were the show.
Yeah,
they were the show. And
Tyler Reddick.
Well, yeah, unfortunately for him, yeah. But for the most majority of the race, those 3 were the show.
Yeah.
and they were, they were battling and they raced clean. It was just an awesome. I mean, this was an awesome race, for all the way around. I mean, the drivers were. I felt like maybe that break was a good thing because they came back all refreshed and ready to kick some butt, and it was an awesome show.
So third year in a row that we run at Nashville Superspeedway, what was once considered a stopgap track before we went to the fairgrounds. Has this track earned its spot on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule at this point, James?
There's a place for it right now, right?
I think so, man.
It's been really good racing.
It has not disappointed yet.
Yeah, I feel like we gotta keep it. I think we got to keep it on the schedule for a little while here because it's. I mean, that was great. I mean, that 3-wide restart in stage 2. I mean, that was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. That was so great. And then we got it in the beginning of stage 3 as well with I think it was stage 3 with the battle with Truex and Hamlin as well.
Yep.
Which was almost as impressive if it wouldn't have been for the 3-wide battle before that.
Well, even late in the race, Eric, Ross and Martin, like that was not a. Like Ross never really got away from him.
Right.
He had, there was a buffer there, but it wasn't like, Clean Air was doing him any favors.
Oh, Martin, we didn't know to the last lap that he was going to win it.
Yeah, Martin was still hunting for the line. I mean, we had tire wear.
Yes.
So
well, in a slick track, James, when was the last time you remember that many cars wrecking in qualifying?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
and the downshifting. And I was thinking about that. I think the downshifting where they're turning a lot higher RPM through the corner, maybe that's not such a bad thing.
Yeah.
Where you've got these guys forced to, spin the tires just a little bit.
I mean, it helps that as soon as you're sideways, you're around. There's no saving it.
Right.
But.
Yep. Yeah. Who? Bubba was probably the biggest spin. Kyle.
Yeah.
Kyle spun it. So there was a handful.
Yep. And then Suarez wrecked in practice, right? Or no,
yes, he
Suarez
did.
was qualifying, wasn't it?
It
was qualifying. Yeah, it was first round of qualifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of not being able to save it when you spin it, Ryan Blaney takes a hell of a hit on the concrete on the front stretch. Finds one of those walls without safer barrier, James. And I
was worried about him for a minute.
Me too. Me too. And sounded like on the radio it was a little scary too.
Yeah.
But ends up okay as far as we know. We haven't heard anything so far. He seemed all right with his post-race interview, but said it was the hardest hit that he's ever taken. I think everybody's kind of beat it to death that it's pretty unacceptable that there's no safer barrier here, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the Kyle Busch. I call that the Kyle Busch zone.
Yeah.
Well, coming out of the tri-oval.
I have an argument though, because I keep hearing everybody complain about this piece of concrete at the end of pit road that doesn't have a safer barrier. And I did some rough math today, James, with Apple Maps, and looked at Nashville Super Speedway. And what everybody is missing about that section of, a couple hundred feet of exposed wall is that before that couple hundred feet of exposed wall, there is approximately, I'd say 1,700 feet, roughly a half a mile, or a 1.3 mile track, 40% of the track that has an unprotected concrete wall right before that point. It is the entire pit wall.
Pit road.
Because there is no wall between the track and pit road. So everybody's throwing a fit about that. But if he'd have hit 30 feet earlier, he'd have hit a spot that there wouldn't have been a safer barrier even if they had one there.
Yes,
so
that's
again,
a good point.
I argue,
Good
damn
work.
it, we need a wall on the inside of these pit roads, and you would have a safer barrier on that wall.
Yeah.
You can't put a safer barrier on pit wall. That won't work.
Yep.
It just frustrates me that we're doing, and it's worse because you go to Talladega and they're going, 200 miles an hour, and they can hit that exposed wall.
Well, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation because you put a pit wall there, and
then it's closer
Eric,
to the track. Yeah.
Well, and then how many times have we seen guys hit the what I always just kind of call them water barrels,
right?
But they're probably filled with sand or whatever now.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen Brad Keselowski hit that at Michigan. There was a really bad ARCA crash I remember seeing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there was the ARCA crash way back in the day at Atlanta where Jerry Punch saved the guy.
Flipped it. Yeah, he flipped it over, and I mean, cars, Eric, we've talked about this before. Yeah, I mean, gosh, Mark Martin's car got ripped in half at Michigan.
Yeah.
In a weird spot.
And I mean,
there's just weird things happen.
The other thing too is we've had these tracks come onto the schedule, and I don't know if anybody realized, but the whole front stretch at Gateway had no safer barrier on the outside.
Yep.
North Wilkesboro has parts that don't have safer barrier.
Yep.
You know, I know they can't. They say they can't do it on dirt tracks. We're going to a road course this weekend that not only has no safer barriers, they have some tire walls, but they don't have the runoff zones like IndyCar has at the end of the straightaways. You're into a 90-degree corner. So I don't know, man. I don't know. It just seems like some of these things just are silly that we continue to do, and nobody sees it.
Yeah, it's almost like we're playing
chicken.
Yeah, like we're expanding at a rate that isn't sustainable for the safety measures of these cars that we need for these cars. You know what I mean? I mean, granted, Nashville, like you said, Eric, has been on the schedule for 3 years. Right. So,
yeah,
there's no reason for that not to be covered.
There's been in the time period that we've raced at Nashville, we have taken a track from the ashes and refurbished it into a brand new racetrack at North Wilkesboro from the same company that owns Nashville. So, I'm not feeling too sorry for him there. I've completely lost my train of thought where I was going, so never mind. I won't make that statement.
Well, Ryan Blaney said he'd pay for it himself.
Oh, yeah, he did. So that's right. So they don't have to worry about the money. Oh, that's what I was going to say. The best thing that I saw in this entire accident, though, James, is the crumple in the front of Blaney's car.
Yeah, it was good, yeah.
It was nice to see the car actually smash in, and we're going to see even more of that in 2 weeks when we go to Atlanta, because from there forward, there's even more crush zone on the front of the car. So
we're going to see a lot of it in about 5 days.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
I have my predictions about that one, too. So.
Oh, okay, good. More of a teaser to the end of the show.
Yeah, there you go. Trying to think anything else here. We talked about Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick loses the tire after pit stop. So I want to ask you about this one, James, because I was a little unhappy with the way this penalty works. Because the penalty is supposed to be, if you lose the wheel on pit road, that you're all right. There's a minor penalty, whatever. You go back, put it back on, and you're fine. But if you lose it on a track, I believe the way the rule is written, that then you get a 2-lap penalty and there's suspensions and all that stuff that we've been seeing all along. Well, Reddick kind of found the loophole in that rule.
He did.
And lost the tire on pit road, but after doing a lap on the track. Now,
yeah, he did.
My feeling is once you leave pit road, that's when that rule should apply. And I think we were in a really dangerous situation with a tire that fortunately didn't fly off the car and slid off the car instead.
Especially during a pit cycle, right?
And coming onto pit road. I mean, that was dangerous. That could have been really bad.
Yeah, it's
and he lost the wheel nut in turn 4. I mean,
well, we might run 100 races, Eric, and we might see that once. We might see that never. You know, right. I don't know. I guess, you know, my view of it was, well, it's kind of like a ball going out of bounds or a foul ball, right?
Yeah.
It's foul where it's foul, and that's where the procedure happened. I mean, he lost 2 laps regardless.
Yes, he did.
So
it definitely ruined his day.
Oh yeah, he was toast after that, which was a bummer.
But the problem is it's not about the laps. It's about discouraging tires from coming off of race cars.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah, we're playing with fire with these tires. I'm telling you, we're playing with fire.
Still, yeah, I know. Still are.
Something is going to happen, and when it does, it's going to be bad.
Yep.
So it concerns me. It really does. That's the thing. I'm more concerned about that than rear end impacts and concussions and all that stuff right now. I'm more concerned about those tires that we just can't seem to keep on cars.
Well, I'm glad that he was able to feel it out and get to. I mean, it was a lucky circumstance on many angles.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I was bummed for him because he really. This is a whole different race if that doesn't happen to him, because he seemed to be the class of the field. I mean, he was the fastest Toyota. It could have been fun to watch him and Ross duke it out for a little bit there, but nonetheless, it was. We know that 45 can run.
Oh yeah,
that's a fast car every week. They just keep getting in their way.
Yeah, they've kind of beat themselves a few times.
Yep.
The other one I thought that was interesting is we talked a little bit about Kyle Busch's 3 wins this season, but Kyle has the tire issue, comes in and pits and manages to pit at the right time and be able to stay out with no cautions to essentially get himself out of the hole. And then it promptly speeds on pit road and he erases all of that benefit that he had. And still manages to come back up for a 9th place finish. So good for Kyle. But imagine if he wouldn't have had that speeding penalty. We've seen a lot out of him lately.
That 8 car is fast.
Yeah, it is.
That's, I think, long story short, that 8 car can go.
Yeah.
I think Kyle Busch is Eric. I think we made a mistake. I think, because I thought Kyle Busch going to Richard Childress was pretty sketchy.
Yeah.
But they're putting a fast car underneath that guy. He's good, man. I don't know if he's a championship contender just yet, but he's in there. He's in the conversation for sure.
I thought that Austin had enough momentum that putting somebody of Kyle's caliber in a new situation, because Kyle didn't just lose his ability to drive. I mean, they just don't do that. He needed a change of scenery. And that change of scenery with a decent running car and Kyle's ability. I mean, dude, every time that they play a clip of him breaking down his lap and every corner, every inch of the racetrack, this is what the car is doing. I mean, as a crew chief, if you know what you're doing, how can you not work with that?
Yeah, right.
There's nobody like that breaks it down like that.
And I don't know how it got stale at Gibbs, but maybe 15 years at one place is enough,
Yeah.
Maybe you can't keep a relationship. I mean, God, Jimmie and Chad, they won all those titles together, but they couldn't keep it going.
I mean, even look at Jeff Gordon. I mean, Jeff Gordon is one of the greatest, but he struggled at times at Hendrick, It
just
happens.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. But yeah, I thought Kyle Busch would win a race or two, but that, this is just another sign of like you described so many problems, and he had the speed to get all the way through the field.
Yeah.
So that's always impressive.
I will say he's exceeding my expectations this season. At this point now, my expectations are high, and I expect him to be a contender at the end.
Oh, anything but the Final Four is a disappointment.
Yeah. But going into the season, I agree. I thought he'd probably win a race. I thought he'd be competitive. I certainly didn't think he'd win a race as quick as he did. And I thought it would be a year or two down the road before they really saw the benefits. But again, this car is even too, and it's even things out. And I think the car has had a double effect. It's made it to where guys that are good can show that they're good, and it's also made the fact that that all these guys are really good, and so it's really hard to win a race. You know?
Yeah, it is. It is.
I think those days, James, of having 9-win seasons and stuff, I think those are done. Unless they go back to the days of being able to mess with these cars, those days are over with.
Yeah, it seems like you can't get hot.
Yeah.
Like Larson did in 2021, the last season of the old car, he got hot.
Yep.
I think it's just a balance of who's got it at the moment. Almost kind of like baseball or hockey,
Yeah.
You get comers and goers during the season, and then the playoffs come, and you got to hope you're in the right spot. You just got to be in the show.
Yeah.
I think that's where we are with NASCAR.
Hockey, man, I hate the salary cap because it's hurt the Red Wings ever since it went into effect, but it's also made so there's different teams winning the Stanley Cup every year. So.
Right. Yep.
Just not the Red Wings.
Right. They'll get there. They'll get it back eventually. It'll come back around.
They're working on it. Third victory for Ross Chastain in 168 Cup Series races. Again, that number is higher than you realize because he ran a lot of Cup races.
Yeah, he did.
Before he was in a competitive ride. He's kind of in Ross Chastain 2.0 career here right now. Kind of like, your Alex Bowmans of the world and whatnot. So, first victory and 8th top 10 finish in 2023. Martin Truex Jr. is still your points leader, 18 points over Willie B. And Ty Gibbs, 14th, was the highest finishing rookie. Anything else with this one worth chatting about before we move on?
It's just a great race.
Yeah, good stuff, man.
I mean, it was really good. Oh, the one thing we didn't talk about was Daniel Suarez trying to go and congratulate Ross, and just kicking SHR while they're down. Right. I mean, good Lord, man. Kevin Harvick was having a brilliant day. He had bad luck, and then poor Chase Briscoe just gets wiped out by goofy Daniel Suarez.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add there. It was. I saw they asked Briscoe about it. I think Front Stretcher, one of those, asked Briscoe about it walking down the garage area, and he's like, "Yeah, he just came out of nowhere, wrecked 2 cars."
It was a weird thing too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
I
I
wonder
was hoping they were fisticuffs, but it just was a coincidence. There was
Well,
no...
I hope Justin Marks pulls Daniel aside.
Right, yeah.
And says, listen,
Well,
we're finally winning races. Can you please stop tearing up my equipment?
And that was clarified this week, and it was clarified before Ross's victory that conversation wasn't slow down. It was just, we need to finish these races or win.
Here's what Justin Marks did. He said a thing, and he basically said the same thing later on, but just reworded it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Ross got a talking to.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what the talking to was. He got a talking to.
Right.
And it worked. Look how happy everybody is.
The one thing I would probably not mind, James, is maybe it's the hypochondriac in me or whatever, or the OCD in me, but I'd really prefer if Ross would quit taking bites out of the watermelon after it's been on the racetrack. It bothers me a little bit.
And while sharing it,
yeah,
with people
sharing it
in
with
the
the fans.
crowd.
Would you take a watermelon that was just sitting on the racetrack and Ross Chastain took a bite out of it? Would you take a bite out of it, James?
If Ross handed me a watermelon, I wouldn't take it.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of watermelon to begin with, so maybe that's part of it. But
that's same here.
So just every time he picks it up, red side down off the racetrack and takes a bite, just kind of bothers me.
I mean, it's just like kissing the bricks, isn't it? Same thing.
Well, I mean, they're not licking the bricks, though. I mean,
I'm sure there's some drivers who've licked the bricks.
Probably
right. AJ.
Yeah, AJ probably has. Well, good transition, because speaking of AJ Allmendinger, we had an Xfinity race the day before, and old AJ got her done. Got himself another oval track victory. Made me really question putting him in my lineup for fantasy on Sunday, but glad I didn't do that.
Well, he got a top 10 for you on Sunday.
Yeah,
if you had him.
Yeah, well, he was. Actually, I take that back. He was in the lineup, but I put him on the bench. But 25 laps led in this one, gets himself the win. Pretty excited after the race. So, AJ pointed out that, especially with where he's at in his career, you don't know when the last one's going to be. So he likes to celebrate them no matter what, and had some pretty good celebration at the end of this one.
Can you believe he's won 17 Xfinity Series races?
That's nuts.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
like he didn't have that many wins overall, and then he got hooked up with Colleague, and that team's been awesome.
Is this a sign of Colleague turning things around this year? Because they've been terrible this year.
Their Cup race was a lot better.
Yeah.
We're all sitting on our hands waiting for Justin Haley to find something.
Yeah.
So, you say that, Eric, and we're heading to a place where, maybe, because I think we all have AJ Allmendinger written into the playoffs in pencil.
Right.
Like we have the eraser ready, but we're all like, no, this guy's gonna make it. He's gonna win a road course race.
There's so many road course races. You got to get one, right?
Yeah, he's gonna get one.
They built a car that's a road racing car,
and we just built a track that's exactly what he loves.
Right?
So,
I know. I'm afraid. I'm upset. I already used him.
Yeah. Well, I haven't.
Yeah. Well. That's something.
This doesn't matter. Who knows?
I'm still trying to decide who I'm picking this week, so that might affect my decision.
The other thing I loved about AJ's car, he had one of my favorite country artists on the car, Bailey Zimmerman.
Yeah,
and he was in the pit box for the whole race.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Yeah, and Bailey is going to be performing here near us this summer.
Couple of weeks.
He's a little further away from you than he was originally supposed to be.
Well, that's a whole. I can't wait to talk. That's the pod after the pod. I can't wait to talk to you about that
inside joke. So, that was cool to see.
We had so many stars out. Like Bailey. I think Bailey Zimmerman's going to be a big country star very soon. I mean, he already is getting pretty close. But Chase Elliott was with Olivia Dune, or Dunn. How do you say it?
I don't know.
Probably Dune. I think it's Dune.
Well, Chase Elliott / Ryan Blaney was with her because her social media. Let's put it this way: I saw 2 social media clips with her with Chase Elliott. One was Chase Elliott's social media. The other was Hendrick Motorsports' social media. Libby's social media was all with Ryan Blaney. So
can I give you reckless speculation?
Sure.
If you don't mind.
Sure. Am I going to have to remove it from the podcast?
Well, maybe we just need a disclaimer that this is reckless speculation. Chase Elliott has had a pretty massive PR hit of late.
Yeah.
Boy, it seemed awful convenient that the biggest star athlete on social media right now was at his side for NASCAR social media. Wonder what's going on. Insert the Brian Windhorst meme of me pointing my fingers. What's going on there?
Speaking of that, we didn't talk about Chase. We can talk about him for a minute. Is he going to make the playoffs? He's almost got to win. Almost got to win.
I'll say yes, he does. He'll win a race.
He's going to win, right? You'd think.
He'll win a race. Yeah.
He's got to.
I think so. We got tracks coming up that he likes.
Can you imagine the story if he doesn't make the playoffs because of the crappy... I mean, honestly, if he doesn't make the playoffs essentially because of the suspension, because he probably would have pointed in without it.
Yeah. Well, Watkins Glen's coming up down the road here.
Yeah, that's true.
He's going to be around. They're not as good as they were on the road courses anymore, but I say he'll make it. That's
true. 11 caution flags for 58 laps in this race, and I think probably 9 of those were in the first 5 laps of the race or so. That's an exaggeration, but it took us a long time to get this race started. Plenty of wrecks at the beginning of this thing. And William Byron was on Denny's podcast this week and just pointed out that, when there's no grip, you just got to slow down a little bit.
Yep.
And nobody was doing that.
Yep.
It was a bloodbath up there for a little while.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And then... of course, our old buddy
Sheldon Creed.
I was waiting.
Yeah,
I was waiting for that.
Loses 25 points and $25,000 for intentionally wrecking Sammy Smith. A little bit of radio traffic, which kind of led NASCAR to believe that it was intentional. And I don't know, the right turn in the middle of turn 1 probably was enough too.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I saw that happen, it's like TV kind of glossed over it, but it's like, yeah, that wasn't an accident. That was pretty intentional.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, the camera angle is pointed into turn 1, and you just see that 2 car go right as he's entering the corner. I'm like, oh boy.
That was a bigger right turn than Carl Edwards on Brad Keselowski at the old Atlanta.
That was a bad look for my guy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Oh, man.
I'm trying to think anything else here. Riley Herbst gets himself a second place finish. They're clicking in the right direction. I think Riley might be on the way to a win this season in the Xfinity Series. Of course, there's a lot of guys up there that he's got to battle to get that win, but he's looking pretty good lately. Cole Custer looked decent in this race, led 32 laps. Nice to see him finally, I think, readjusting to the Xfinity Series a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Parker Kligerman gets an 11th place finish under the weather. And then they sent him to Chicago to stand in the
I was going to say that. He was sick, and then they sent him to... I know. I was like, gosh, dang. Busy guy. Not feeling good?
Ty Gibbs looked like he probably was going to run away with this thing if he wouldn't have gotten caught up in one of those early wrecks. Finishes 37th. And
shout out to Chandler Smith, man. Just led a lot of laps. I thought he was going to be... I thought it was going to kind of be his day, but not meant to be. But
yeah.
But yeah,
how about Carson Hocevar too, man? He was right up front battling for that win until he was involved in that wreck.
Yeah, he. Well, we're gonna talk about him again in a second here, but yeah, he is. I know he wrecked. But speaking of, we talked about Ross Chastain earlier doing things that we've said he needs to do.
Yep.
Carson's starting to get there.
Yes,
and maybe that's our transition point. I don't know.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about the Truck Series Friday night. Carson Hocevar gets his second win in the Truck Series, and this time did not wreck somebody to do it. Did not right turn somebody into the wall, and gets himself a win. And yeah, this is a kid that went from last year just about everybody wanting to strangle him to suddenly he's like the top prospect in the Truck Series to move up somewhere. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see him take a quick route to the Cup Series the way the attention he's had lately. I don't know that he's ready for that.
No,
but it's hard to say though, because again, the Xfinity Series does so little to prepare you for the Cup Series anymore that maybe it is the smart thing to do. Maybe you do put him there before he learns habits in the Xfinity Series. But
I don't know what seat that would be.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is there's not a place for him to go
unless it's Eric Almirola's. I don't know if that's a thing or not.
I don't know. We'll talk more about that seat in a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, so great win for Carson Hocevar to get back in victory lane. Big props to Fox for not sending their folks to the track for the booth. I'm going to complain about that every week for the rest of the Truck Series. Carson Hocevar leads 40 laps, most laps in the day other than Corey Heim, who led 57. Zane Smith ran really well in this. Nick Sanchez again up front. Gonna get a win there soon. It's coming.
Haley Deegan messed up a little bit.
Yeah, Haley. This one was on Haley. She screwed up early, ran and slipped up in the corner and wrecked Lawless Allen and got the wrath of Lawless.
Yeah,
he's my black flag for this week, James.
Oh, is he? Okay, I won't steal it. Lawless, I just want so much for him just because I love his name so much. Yeah. I want him to have all the things.
The thing is he calls Haley out for doing this every week, and Haley hasn't done this every week. And I don't want to be a Haley defender, but Haley tends to be raced terribly by everybody in the field, and Lawless is not. It's not like he's a front running car or truck to be mouthing off about Haley Deegan. So that annoyed me. It irritated me a bit.
Young drivers in the truck series make mistakes, right? That's what they all. Carson Hocevar has made a lot of mistakes. I would argue, Carson Hocevar has made more silly mistakes than Haley Deegan.
Oh, 100%.
But he's in a little bit of a faster truck, and
he's also in a more prominent position in the field too. But.
Exactly. But I mean, I'm okay with calling people out in certain situations, but when Haley doesn't go out there and wreck people every week, and
the problem is that Haley and Lawless have had run-ins before. So
that's yes.
Haley was after Lawless earlier this season, I think it was. I don't remember. I think it was at Vegas.
Anything in the truck series pointed at Haley is going to get magnified because of who she is and her name.
Yeah,
so and that's always a thing that you have to battle.
Honestly, I want to see her get out of that truck series because if she doesn't, she's going to get swallowed up.
Yeah, I'd like to.
If she doesn't get out of there next year, she's going to finish her career in the truck series, and it's going to be another year, and she's out. I just don't see how teams are going to keep investing in her when she's just struggled there, and I don't think it's her fault.
I'd like to see her I'd like to see her bump up to the Xfinity series and see what she's got. She needs 2 years in Xfinity to really see like, are you going to make it or not?
Yeah.
And she's put her time in the truck series. She hasn't done anything to be like, get out of here now.
Right. No, I don't think so either. I just think that I think you only get so long in the truck series before you bottom out.
Well, again, look at Carson Hocevar, right?
Yeah.
He hasn't, it's not like he's got a million starts, but he's been in this series since 2019, just kind of grinding.
Yeah.
And he's had a lot of rough goes at it, but now he's here at a breakthrough. Yeah. 67 starts into it. So.
I was going to say, not only does he not have 1,000 starts, he's only got 67.
Yeah, I mean, it takes. I mean, it seems like it's fast, but the truck series doesn't race that much every year, you know.
Right.
So
that is true.
And Haley doesn't even have 60 starts in the truck series yet. So let's just hang in there just a little bit longer.
Like I said, I hope that she has the staying power to not get swallowed up. That's the biggest thing for me. Is the difference between her and Carson Hocevar is Carson Hocevar had moments where it was like, oh man, this kid's fast, and Haley just hasn't had one of those moments yet.
Driver development is part of the truck series. Yeah. You gotta expect some.
Yeah, but driver development, man, is so lost right now.
Well, we're gonna talk about that again, or we keep.
Yeah, that's true.
There's, what is the right age, right? So, she's just got. I mean, she's young. She's young. She's got a little bit of time yet. Not giving up on her. We didn't give up on Carson, and he did some dumb crap.
Yeah.
So let's just give it a little bit of time yet.
Well, and speaking of Carson, he's now $50,000 richer after winning the Triple Truck Challenge race as well. Brought to you by Craftsman. Corey Himes, points leader in the Craftsman Truck Series, 16 points over Zane Smith. Nick Sanchez in third place was your highest finishing rookie in this one.
Carson Hocevar will not be a full-time truck driver next year.
No way.
No way in hell.
Nope.
Doesn't matter what he does the rest of this year. He's going up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's got himself a spot locked in somewhere. He doesn't know where it is yet, but it's somewhere in that Xfinity series. Somebody's going to grab a hold of him.
He'd be a nice fit at JR Motorsports.
Wouldn't he be? Yeah. Wouldn't he be? Mm-hmm. He was the rumor last year, wasn't he? He was the rumor.
Yeah, he was on the. He was the rumor for the
guys. 9. So
yeah, he was one of the guys.
Huh, that'd be interesting. I'd love to see him at Junior Motorsports.
Somebody's got to go up to Josh Berry's.
He's a Chevy guy too.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's good. That's a good take, James. I didn't even think about that.
Thank you.
That's a good one. Yes. On in the news for this week, we're not going to dwell on this one, but Jimmie Johnson, they've announced that he is withdrawn from this weekend's race at Chicago. If you're listening to this podcast, you know the circumstances around it. We aren't going to dig into it because we're not a news podcast. So you guys go search that out and see what happened there. But thoughts and prayers with Jimmie Johnson and his family. over the crap that's going on with them. And it will be sad to miss Jimmie this weekend, but he's definitely got some much bigger things to deal with this week than racing. So
yep, and just Jimmie's okay. He's healthy.
Yeah, yep.
All that. Just go look, like Eric said. Just go look it up. We're just I'm bummed for him, but hopefully we'll see him back at the track soon. He's one of our he's one of our cornerstones, man. So
yep,
get back soon, Jimmie.
Yep, for sure. We got the big news this week, James, that everybody already knew. Josh Berry will replace Kevin Harvick in the number 4 car next year at Stewart-Haas. Tony Stewart had some spicy quotes in his media availability. We've been teed off ahead of time that there might be some spicy quotes. And I don't have the quote right in front of me, but essentially Tony said that they want drivers that can drive and not drivers that bring money. Now, I will say, and I know Tony's your guy. I know he's your guy.
Yep.
Tony can be a little bit of a hypocrite sometimes. Tony can say one thing when it benefits him now, and another thing when he's got GoDaddy money and Danica Patrick waiting in the wings to drive one of his cars.
That's right.
So I'm only putting so much stock in what Tony's saying, but
yes.
I appreciate this as somebody that Josh Berry's not bringing money with him. And Josh Berry, if you want a story of a guy who has all out worked his way up on his skill and nothing else, Josh Berry is your guy.
Yep. I thought the days of guys like Josh Berry were dead.
Me too.
I thought Brad Keselowski was the last one.
Yep.
Like, I was like, that was a fun, but Josh frickin' Berry, man.
Yeah.
What a cool story. And Eric, Tony's doing a thing right now. Mm-hmm. He is, if Tony's showing us anything, he is a marketing, kind of a marketing guru.
Tony's happiest when he's got a soapbox to stand on.
Well, and he's building a new brand.
Yep.
Stewart-Haas needs a new. They need. They're in trouble.
Yeah. Well, he got his way with Priest,
and he got Berry.
Yep.
They're losing Busch. That seems to be.
Yeah, that's in the notes here. Anheuser Busch still expected to go to Trackhouse.
That's what Stern. Chastain. Yep, that's what Stern tweeted out. I mean, that was a brilliant tweet by Stern. I mean, he was sitting on that. It was beautiful. Like, Ross wins the race and he tweets that.
Right.
But yeah, Tony's building a little bit of a brand here. And I think this is strategic. He is doing strategic things.
So here's the question. This is strategic.
I'm glad for
it. Is Tony's comments because of Josh Berry, or is Tony's comments what's coming with the 10? Is he getting everybody ready for where he's headed with that 10 car?
Possibly, but I think it's bigger than Josh Berry, and I think it might be bigger than the 10. I think this is an infrastructure, like this is an entire organizational shift, I think.
Yeah.
I think.
Is this a shot at any current drivers? I mean, obviously Almirola's there because he has Smithfield.
Yeah.
Is this a shot at Almirola?
You got a good point there, because I wonder if Smithfield's going away too. I don't understand. I wouldn't understand why Tony and Eric are on bad terms. I don't think they are. And Tony's had a good relationship with Smithfield.
Right.
But yeah, if Eric leaves and Smithfield just goes away, they've got nothing. They've got not much. Mahindra, and Rush and a couple other sponsors, but they don't have a whole lot. I just think he wants his team to be known as a racer's place to be.
Yeah.
And
I think Tony's a racer. That's so you would expect that.
Yeah. And I think that bodes well for the future. They are going, boy, if you think they've hit rock bottom now, you just wait. I think SHR is going to bottom out pretty hard here, in the next 1 or 2 years.
And that, again, can all depend on what they do with that 10 car. Yeah. I argue again that you cannot take that 10 car and stick some young rookie driver. I mean, no offense to Josh Berry. Josh Berry is certainly a veteran and a rookie, but he's still a rookie. He still does not have Cup experience. I mean, he's got more than a lot of guys that are going to come in and jump in this Cup car with the races he's run this year. And he's certainly proven himself this year. But he also didn't prove himself to the point where you're like, yeah, he's going to get in here and start winning right away. I mean, he had the one good race at Richmond. And not that he ran bad, because he ran spectacularly, but he wasn't dominating races in that car. And not to mention, he was in a Hendrick car versus a Stewart-Haas car and a Ford at that matter. Which, speaking of which,
Yeah.
there were so many rumors swirling that this was going to be an announcement to switch to Chevrolet, and that Dale Jr. was coming into this team, and all that stuff would have been fun. But
That would have been awesome.
yeah, can you imagine Tony and Jr. owning a team? That would be so cool.
Tony, I wonder if that relationship with Ford is strained a little bit. I don't know.
I don't know.
That's all speculation.
Yeah, because when he was asked about Ford and whatnot in the questions, and his answer was weird. I don't remember what it was, but it was
he was basically like he basically said in a roundabout way, we're fine.
Well,
we're under contract.
Yeah, it was kind of like we're under contract, so that's what a contract is, or something like that. And it's like, that's not like we love Ford and Ford loves us and everything's peachy.
Yeah, and I know he's not his drag team where he spends most of his time now.
Right.
Obviously that's Dodge, but he's not driving those cars either.
Right.
And he doesn't do anything for Dodge. Like, he doesn't wear any Dodge logos or anything like that. And you notice Josh Berry at the press conference, he was in just a Stewart Haas logo shirt because he's still technically a Chevrolet driver.
Right.
For the rest of the year, he can't be wearing Ford. So it was a weird answer. There was a lot of weird stuff going on, but Tony, I don't know, man. He kind of blew in and blew some stuff up.
I think it was kind of like a Tony Stewart appearance, like, hey, guys, I still run this team. Like, you guys say I'm not part of this, but I am. I'm doing my job here. You know, I'm still here.
He's a little bit, he's always been a curmudgeon, and he's getting older, so.
Yeah.
It's all right.
There's nothing better than a good spicy Tony quote for the week.
Oh, yeah.
And I miss those, man. I miss the Tony Stewart press conferences, although when I'm a media member, I don't miss it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when he's chewing people out.
There's nobody I would less like to ask a question than Tony Stewart.
Strike the fear of God into you. Yeah.
I mean, I've mustered up the guts to ask Kyle Busch a question before. I don't think I could do it with Tony.
Yeah.
He's about the only one that I think would push me to the edge.
He'd devastate. If you slipped, he'd destroy you.
Oh yeah, he would. Yeah,
he broke Jeff Gluck's heart years
Right?
ago.
Yeah.
Just poor Jeff Gluck.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. There was something else I wanted to hit on here, but I don't remember what it was.
Do you think?
How about
Rodney's sticking around? Is that where you were going?
I think so. I mean, that's kind of been what has been said. So I think so. I know they did make a crew chief change on the 14 car this week as well, and Riley lost his crew chief in the Xfinity series. So Chase could be paired up with I can't remember his name, but the guy that he had success with in the Xfinity series. Mm-hmm. What I wanted to touch on is Dale Jr.'s role in this whole thing, because I thought Dale Jr., some of the things he said along the way with this whole process, and continues to say that, you know, they're a building block, and he is excited every time somebody in his organization gets to make an announcement that they're going to the Cup Series, that he's not expecting people to just stick around there, that he's there to help people get to the big show. I think Junior's role, as much as I want to see Junior in the Cup Series, I would love to see Junior Motorsports own a Cup team. Having that role where he's at in the Xfinity Series is just amazing. And just to look at, I think 10 Cup Series drivers now have gone through the Junior Motorsports stable.
There's a lot of them. Yeah. There's a ton, and they're all. I mean, he's got the Cup Series a third full here almost.
Yeah, I mean that's quite a success rate there, and very cool to see. I mean, you know, I love Junior, and I love Junior so much more as a post racing career than I did as a driver.
Well, he's, you know, I know people want him to get into the Cup Series, but let me throw this at you. Doing what he's doing now, he is allowed to be our biggest ambassador.
Yeah.
And I think that is, and he has always been, since his father passed away, he has been our biggest ambassador.
Yep.
And he plays that role better than anybody ever has. So maybe it's a good thing that he continues doing what he's doing and is doing that thing.
Well, and the other thing is if we let's put Junior in the Cup Series. When you put Junior in the Cup Series, I think you lose Junior in the NBC booth too.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
Because Junior already is very uncomfortable in the NBC booth with the Xfinity Series. He tends to sit out or not be in the booth, just do pit road stuff during the playoffs in the Xfinity Series because he feels it's a conflict.
Yep.
And I don't see that being any different if he's in the Cup Series, if he has a team in the Cup Series. So, and I would prefer, honestly, I prefer him in this role. I think, not to mention his pocketbook prefers it too, because Junior's cheap. So,
Yeah.
He doesn't want to spend the money he's got to spend to get in the Cup Series. I love his role that he's playing right now, and it's great because he's got this dynasty in the Xfinity Series, but it's also not. I mean, last year it was pretty impressive. This year NASCAR made some rule changes, and Junior said that affected them a lot, and it has. I mean, they've certainly not won a ton of races this year, but that's good. We don't want them to just run away with the whole thing, but they're still competitive, which is awesome. So,
yep, absolutely.
Carl Edwards was around this weekend again, James.
Yes, he was.
He definitely may or may not be interested in maybe or not running a one-off race in the future. And if he does, he would prepare a lot and go 100%, but he's not going to. But he could, but he won't. But he's not interested, but he is.
You do that so well. You do the Super Bowl bouncing around the kitchen better than anybody I know.
Oh, it was a minute and 30 clip on YouTube that I saw, and he went through every bit of that.
Carl just cannot help but be a people pleaser, to the bitter end.
He'll be back. He's gonna run a race or two.
Denny said he's been in the simulator.
I know. I heard that he's racing. He's doing the sim for Chicago. He's helping out 2311. Denny went to him for 2311.
He is gonna get in a race.
He will. He'll run an Xfinity race or something. I don't.
Then again, I would never be surprised if he didn't.
Yeah, same here.
But
I mean, there's been nobody that's just disappeared from the sport other than like Cale Yarborough. I mean, nobody's just disappeared from the sport like he has.
His exit was so perfect.
Yeah, it was.
The way he did it,
dude. If it was me, that's how I'd want to go out.
I mean, especially if I got wrecked like he did.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the only difference. You win that championship and then you just go, see ya, peace.
But Denny also said he's itchy. He said, I can tell he's itchy.
Yeah.
So maybe
this stuff gets in your blood, man. You don't get, dude. You're not a racer if you don't and have it just disappear. Listen to all the guys who've retired. Junior wants to race again. Junior's talking about running 3 Xfinity races.
Yeah, Smoke's still hovering around. I mean, he's racing SRX and stuff, and that he's drag racing. He hasn't stopped.
Rusty Wallace said for years that he retired too early.
Oh my gosh, Rusty.
Yeah.
I mean,
Rusty went and freaking ran stadium trucks. He hasn't even missed it.
He raced at Daytona and testing and he did a bunch of crap. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be hard, man. You can't get that feeling back.
Yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back in some capacity. It's nice to see him at the track, though. It's nice to see old Carl around.
Yeah, I do. I enjoy seeing him.
Carl was one that I loved to hate at times, but he was really good for the sport. He really was really good for the sport.
He needs to do what Mark Martin didn't do, and just go win a truck championship.
Yeah.
Go run the truck series,
exactly.
Man. Go partner up with Kyle frickin' Busch, and just dominate.
Yeah, but the truck series now versus what it was when Mark Martin was racing still.
Yeah.
That truck series is a cluster right now. It's like it'd be like running ARCA.
I wish Mark.
No offense to ARCA, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Charlie Crawl. No offense to ARCA.
Frankie Muniz he's bringing him in.
Yeah, he put it in the wall though this past weekend.
Yeah, he did. Oh yeah, he did.
That was some cluster F racing too between a couple of the leaders in that race. Jeez, oh man.
Oh man.
Anyway, James, there's a new NASCAR game coming to video game consoles this year.
I'm surprised you put this in the notes.
Yeah, it's not the NASCAR game that everybody's waiting for. NASCAR Arcade Rush. Aren't you excited? Are you going to go out and you're going to pre-order it? Buy it right away?
No.
I've always hated these games. I mean, it's cool to see NASCAR's name on something. I don't know what this does for you, though.
You can't do Mario Kart better than Mario Kart.
Exactly.
Just leave it alone.
Exactly. I didn't even research it. I just saw the name, and it's like, yeah, I won't be buying this. Sorry.
I did see, Eric, that NASCAR Heat 5 just dropped DLC.
Yeah, the 2022 update.
Yeah, I'm like...
Yeah. And it doesn't even work right.
Of course it doesn't. There's nobody else left to work on it.
You can't even race a season. You can only race individual races or online with it.
Oh, my God.
It's a mess.
And it's $10.
Yeah.
They're still trying to get money out of NASCAR Heat 5. Unbelievable.
Yeah. I would have... if I could run a season, that's the freaking the Switch game that they have, which is basically this update. Also, you can't run a season. You can only run career. You can't just run a full season.
That's stupid.
Yeah, it's really dumb.
You've got the means. Do it right. Oh my God.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least NASCAR has a game from this company. It might be terrible, but they have one. IndyCar, they went and freaking pulled off of iRacing to have no game.
Yeah, that was really dumb.
Yeah. I just can't wait for this company to just go under so we can sell the license to somebody who will do something with it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Of course, EA now owns the Formula One license, so they'll ruin that. And
that game's a
sorry, oh, damn it! Now I gotta bleep.
Sorry.
Wow. All right.
It'll be funny though.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. I don't have the number right next to me like I used to because it's on the screen on this recorder off to the side. So inside baseball, I'll actually have to find it in the notes. So let's move on to the next topic before James cusses again. Yeah. Joe Gibbs sells minority interest in Joe Gibbs Racing. Do you think is this a big deal? Is this a big story?
Yes.
Why?
I think so.
Why is it a big story?
I think it's going to become pretty common. I think this is going to be...
Okay, so this isn't a big story for Gibbs. It's a big story for the industry.
Yeah, I think this is an industry story.
Gotcha. Okay.
But
well, I mean, we already did it, though, because Roush Fenway, I mean...
Yeah, but this seems like it's a little different.
Okay.
Because Roush kind of is always... I don't know, Roush is always going to be Roush. But this seems to me like we need money. Kind of, not that they need it in the sense that we need money to
you don't
make
think
our
this
cars
is a
faster.
PR play for the Commanders versus
it might be a little bit of both, but this is a succession plan for Joe Gibbs Racing.
Okay.
I think I messaged you. If JD and Coy were still alive, I don't know if this is done in this specific way, but this seems like a big partner coming in to help, with the future of the team, because somebody's going to have to be. I mean, they're going to have to hire executives to run this team. It's Joe Gibbs isn't going to be around forever,
right? And
who's that next face going to be? And I'm pretty sure it's Dave Alpern. He's going to be the face you see, but it's always going to be Joe Gibbs Racing. There's just not going to be a front facing Gibbs in the front office,
right?
Until Ty retires in 30 years,
right?
He's so young.
Yeah.
Ty's not interested in running the business.
No, he's not ready to do something like that at his
exactly.
age.
Like he's racing right now.
It'd have been like Dale Jr. taking over DEI. I mean,
exactly.
It's not ready. As much as that's what he wanted to do, that he wasn't ready for that either.
No.
For anybody who missed it, I think the news was out there pretty good, but Joe Gibbs Racing, or Joe Gibbs, and who obviously is the former coach of the Washington Commanders, we'll call him.
Hall of Fame coach,
yes,
one of the
Hall
greats.
of Fame coach. And Josh Harris, the prospective new owner of the Commanders, bought into the team. So,
yep.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done a whole lot of looking into this. To me, it's kind of just one of those business things. I don't really get too interested in the business side of things. I know that Kelly Earnhardt is doing the podcast on Dirty Mo with some of the business stuff, and some of that's been interesting, but even that I haven't paid real close attention to because it's just not my area of interest. I like the competition side more than the business side.
See, I do enjoy some of the business because I think these rich owners that come in, they are doing things on a level I can't comprehend.
Right.
But they're making plays to basically increase their portfolios and not have to pay taxes on on certain, like, they're going to be he's buying the Commanders, but he took a loss here on the cup spending. Exactly. There's chicanery going on.
If it benefits NASCAR in the long run, I guess we're all good for it, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's the same thing as corporate sponsorships and stuff. I mean, it used to be, Tide would put a decal on a race car because you'd see that decal and buy Tide at the grocery store. Yep, but now Cessna puts their decal on the side of a race car, not because you're going to go buy a Cessna plane, but because Cessna is going to take their executives, their people they're trying to wine and dine to a racetrack and have them sit on the pit box and enjoy a NASCAR race. So it's a different world now than it used to be.
Yep. And I could see, I mean, we saw this with F1 this week as well. Ryan Reynolds and his group, they bought into Alpine Racing.
Yeah. He didn't get
Tony
the hockey
Stewart
team, so he's buying an F1 instead, huh?
So, and so Tony Stewart was asked about it, and he didn't say no, it wouldn't ever happen. Like that, I could see that team needing an influx of something, even though Gene Haas seems to have all the money in the world. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's I think this is just, it's kind of like TV streaming. The business model is changing across everything. Everything's changing.
Which we've seen in other motorsports. I mean, IndyCar and Formula One have been like this for a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And racing will be racing. It's just the behind the scenes is looking a little different. So
one thing I didn't put in the notes, but I saw mentioned this week is that Andretti's sniffing around, potentially becoming a NASCAR team owner.
Yep. Because F1's not going super well for him right now. He keeps getting pushed back. So, if I was F1, I wouldn't give anybody a team right now. I'd keep it exclusive as much as I could. But anyway,
yeah, I mean, they don't need more back markers.
That's right.
So
it's not adding to the Netflix show.
Yeah, it won't do them any good. I think honestly, any more teams that you add to F1 just dilutes what you have. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look at the Cup Series, I mean, do you notice that there's only 40 cars on the track versus 43, or 36 cars on the track versus 43? I mean, I don't.
No.
It's made the racing better. You don't have the field fillers and stuff, so I don't know.
Yeah, 36 has been a good number.
Yeah. I mean, there's something about watching 43 cars going to turn one when you're at the track, but
yep.
Then you watch them pull off.
But then you don't hear that. They hear the flat engines in the back of the field.
Right. Speaking of engines, how about the difference in the audio with Junior standing on pit road, Junior and Burton standing on pit road during the Xfinity race and the Cup race? Those Cup cars are loud, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they got a pitch to them.
You hate that sound.
I know. I don't love the sound still, but
you haven't heard it in person yet, though, have you?
Well, wait till they put the mufflers on them this week.
Yeah.
I know I haven't heard it in person, but yeah.
I mean, I've heard it in person, and it sounds pretty good. It sounds good. Darlington sounded really, really good.
I tell you what sounded good was that freaking Garage 56.
Yeah, that's true.
Entry.
That did sound really good.
Awesome.
Yeah. 1,000 horsepower always sounds better than 600.
That's right. Yeah. That thing was screaming.
Yeah. So you transitioned us, James. We're going to Chicago street racing this weekend. If there weren't enough obstacles already with people upset about road closures and I saw a thing on TikTok about some columnist that obviously has never heard of NASCAR and understands how a race works, that was upset because you couldn't go watch the race for free. And all that, but now there's smoke from Canada rolling in, and the air quality is terrible in Chicago right now too. Hopefully that clears up before Saturday and Sunday.
It's terrible here.
It's really bad. It smells like campfire outside right now here in Michigan. So
yep, it's bad.
But I would argue whether it's a positive or a negative, probably the most highly anticipated race, or second to North Wilkesboro this season. Wouldn't you say Chicago Street Race?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yep, it's going to be a show.
I know your thoughts on it. Here's my prediction, James. I think I said it 2 weeks ago, but my prediction is that NASCAR is going to do what NASCAR does. They're going to come in here. They're going to look silly in practice. We're going to put a bunch of cars in the wall. We're going to do Eldora on dirt all over again. We're going to do the Roval at Charlotte all over again. You're going to come in and they're going to look silly. And then they're going to get out there on Sunday and they're going to drive like professionals. We're going to see an acceptable race. I think it's going to bring a bunch of money into Chicago. I think that the people that want money are going to have thicker pockets than when they started this weekend, and everybody's going to go, "This is great. We love NASCAR," and it'll be like nothing ever happened. That's my prediction. It'll all be a big to-do over nothing. Now, I'm not saying the racing's going to be good, but I'm saying in the end it will be deemed a success.
Yeah.
And we'll be back next year. That's my prediction. I know you disagree with me.
I hope you're right that it's a success. I don't think it is going to be. I don't know. We're not coming in there with warm, open arms, but I guess we didn't do that with the Coliseum either. So
yeah. I'm excited about this, James. I really am. I am looking forward to watching it this weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing what we've talked about. We've discussed a street course for years. We've discussed it. And I'm really curious to see how it works. And
I'm watching the iRacing race right now as we're talking.
Nice.
It's in the I have it in the corner. Bobby Zielinski just won. So
nice. Spoiler, man. Now I can't watch it. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, he got the lead, and that was it.
The other thing that I think is kind of cool about it is we're going to get to see both sides of the coin, because we're going to get to see the Xfinity cars the day before. So we're going to see what the old car would have raced like, and we're going to see what the new car will race like, and we'll see whether the next gen car is an improvement to what we could see on a street course versus a negative. So that's cool too. I think it's going to expose racing to different people. I realize the ticket's expensive, but really, if you break down what you're getting for the ticket, it's not terrible. If you're going for the concerts and the show and all that stuff, it's a whole weekend ticket, so it's not terrible. And it's in freaking Chicago. Like, you expect it to be $10 to go to a race in Chicago? Come on.
No. Yeah.
So I don't know. And I mean, if you like, shoot, Chainsmokers are performing. They're a huge draw. Maybe 6 years ago, but I think they're still big now, right? Aren't they?
I mean, they're kind of big.
They're the ones that did that selfie song, weren't they? I think.
I don't know.
I think I like the Chainsmokers. I'm pretty
I
sure
used to
I
like
the
them.
other songs. So
Yeah. I like a few of their songs.
I don't quite understand the EDM / stuff. Like, I don't really understand how much of it is them just playing a record and how much of them it is them actually performing. So I don't know, but
right.
Anyway, it sounds cool on the radio. I don't know that I'd go to one of their shows, but hey, if I had a ticket to a NASCAR race and they happen to be performing, I'd check it out.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm optimistic, James. I'm optimistic.
I
like new things, so I'm excited to see something new.
It's definitely going to be that. I stand firm that I think this is a one and done, but
Don't get me wrong.
I hope I'm wrong. I
don't ever want to see NASCAR not succeed. I really am not one of those fans. But if this did fail and they decided to go back to Chicagoland Speedway, that would be the only excitement that I would get out of them failing.
Yep.
If we could go back to Chicagoland, because as a fan, I will watch street racing on TV. I will watch IndyCar and street races on TV.
Yep.
But I've gone to one, and it's just not my thing to go to because I want to see the whole track. So I'm never going to go to this race ever.
Yeah.
But I would go to Chicagoland in a heartbeat. I would be right back there. So.
Yep. Yeah, I'm hopeful that this is going to be a decent day. I'm hesitant to even go there. I do want it to succeed. Don't get me wrong, but I'm struggling with it.
I think if it becomes a cluster per se, as far as the racing aspect of it, I think it's going to be that it's single file the whole way and nobody passes. It's not going to be a wreck fest.
Yeah,
not in the Cup Series. The Xfinity Series, I expect to tear some cars up. But the Truck Series or the Cup Series, I don't think those guys are professionals. Unless the track comes apart, they usually are pretty good at not tearing a bunch of stuff up.
Yeah,
usually.
Right. Yeah, I mean they'll be professionals. I just hope we don't have a situation where we're not professionals. But I think they will. But they'll be just fine.
Yeah, I think the sight lines and stuff, the camera angles and footage. I mean, NBC is going to do a terrific job with this. It's going to be really cool. It's going to look cool.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing.
Mike Bagley's on the call.
Yeah. We have the radio style broadcast for NBC this weekend. Man, how nice was it to have NBC back? It was great.
Oh my God.
Good stuff.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was my shout out.
Yeah, mine
NBC.
too. Mine too.
So good. And we will go get that out of the way.
Yeah, same here. And NBC is just going all in on Dale Jr., which they need to do. I mean, they had on their social media, they had on YouTube, they had the Dale Jr. vlog where he vlogged his day at Nashville, and then they had the Junior Cam for the race broadcast. I mean, they're going all in on Junior, which is that's the right thing to do.
Yes, exactly.
Everybody loves Junior.
Yeah.
So Chicago, we get to make our picks, and just coming off of last weekend's picks, James, I just wanted to remind you that I beat you finally.
Yes,
significantly.
The biggest win of the season.
Yeah, 45 points because you had Blaney with 1 point, and I had Byron.
I forgot
with 46.
I had him. To be honest with you,
I forgot who you had too.
I looked at the spreadsheet that we have, and I just laughed. I'm like, well, it finally happened to me.
It finally happened.
Holy crap!
So I am struggling this week because as I said before, I went through the rest of the regular season and kind of picked who I was putting where. And I left this one till last because I didn't want to waste somebody here because we don't know what we're going to get.
Right.
So right now I have a road course guy in my spot. It's not the best road course guy in AJ Allmendinger because I've already picked him. But I have a road course guy here. But then William Byron was on Denny's podcast and talked about how the fastest guy in testing on the sim was Ty Gibbs. And I'm like, man, is Ty the guy to pick here?
Oh,
he's a road course guy, but you're going to pick AJ because you have him, more than likely. So I'm going to go with my original pick, and I'm taking Michael McDowell as my pick.
Oh, that's a good pick. Good pick.
He's going to get a top 10, right? I mean,
yep.
You would think. So that's my pick, Michael McDowell.
Well, I was I was trying to think of what to do here too.
It's so tough. I honestly I was just going to take whatever I had left and just throw a dart at the board, but I had 2 road course guys left over. I had Briscoe and McDowell.
Yeah, so I wanted to go with AJ as well, but I think the smart play for me, because I don't have to rush my AJ pick.
Yeah.
When I'm going up against
You're
you,
gonna save him for Indy.
I think I'm gonna save him for Indy.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
I think I'm gonna do something a little bit crazy here. And I'm actually going way off the board. So far off the board that this driver's not even on our list.
Oh man.
I'm gonna go with Jenson Button.
Nice. Wow.
Yep. He just had a whole bunch of seat time on a road course in a car. I'm gonna go way off the board here and go Jenson Button.
Nice.
So we're gonna have to add him to the spreadsheet.
I like that though. That's good. I like it especially because you're probably going to lose points to me again this week. So I'm excited.
Probably, yeah.
Who's he even driving? Which is he driving the?
He's driving Rick Ware's 15 car.
Yeah, so you'll definitely lose points.
Yeah. The thing I was thinking was like Joey Logano's probably going to show up and win.
Yeah.
Because he always wins at the new place. I could have used him. I've got AJ. I've got Almirola. I've got a few guys I can pick from. Suarez is on my list.
Yeah.
But yeah, give me Jenson Button. I'm gonna take a flyer here. Hopefully I don't end up with 1 point again, but I could.
I still have Ross Chastain.
Yes, you do.
I've not picked Ross Chastain yet, but I haven't penciled in. Not telling you where. I haven't penciled in.
That's good. Yeah. So yeah, we've got a handful of drivers to use here for the rest of the season, but yeah. I was leaning on seat time. Jenson Button had a lot of seat time. Maybe something happens here.
Yeah, I like that.
Chase Briscoe would have been probably a good pick too.
Nah, he just no.
But
I can't pick him right now. And I take that back. I do have him picked for a race this year.
Yeah.
But
I got 41 points out of my Chase Briscoe use, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah, I have him penciled in somewhere, but I don't know. I don't know if that's even going to stick. We'll see.
Yep.
All right, so there you go. Fantasy update. I want you to talk about fantasy this week, James.
Eric, you had a great week. You won at Nashville.
I had.
Is that your third win of the year?
I believe so. I had my 5 drivers were in the top 6.
You can't do much better than that.
It was beautiful.
Yep. So yeah, KB show with the big win. Team Justin second. Tandem Draftona was third, and I was fourth. I am perpetually stuck in fourth and fifth. Like, you know how you go from first to eighth?
Yeah.
I am always fourth and fifth every week. It never fails. Overall standings. So with your win, Eric, you move into 7th spot. You're 1 spot behind Ranger, who's in 6th. Green Eggs and Hamlin 5th. Mickey Elliott 4th. I bumped up into 3rd. Tandem Draftona is 2nd, and Barron Speedway, obviously, is in the lead. I don't have to say that.
Is he sliding though? Because he hasn't been up front the last few weeks.
You know what? I will double check that. I'm gonna see if I can.
I feel like he's going backwards a little bit.
I think he's still top 100.
Well, I mean, he's still. Yeah, I mean, he had a hell of a lead. So.
Yeah, I think he's still top 100. He's got 34 yet. So hold on. I'm gonna see if I can find him. I'll let you know.
Okay.
Oh, where is he? If he's not, he's right outside. He is not in the top 100.
Dang.
He's very close, though. He's like right there. I would say he's probably somewhere in like the 110s to 120s. But yeah, his let me see. I gotta look at his total again. 3426. Yeah. So he's just out.
We got beat.
Wow, there we go.
I love that sound.
We had all the Tony Stewart spicy quotes, and I didn't put this one in there.
I'm gonna bust his ass.
So I'll just do that for good measure.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, right. Good stuff. All right. You already did your shout out in Black Flag, right? Or did you not? You didn't do Black Flag yet.
The only thing I did do was my Black Flag, and
Yeah,
I gotta give it to my guy, Bob Pockris.
Oh, ooh, why? What did Bob do?
He did his best. He ranked the top.
Oh yeah.
He ranked the 25 new entries into the top 75 in the off week. forgetting that Mark Martin was on the original 50 and swapped him out for Sterling Marlin. So there was a typo in it. I think it was still there last I checked. So I don't think he's going back to fix it.
Come on, Bob, get your crap together, dude.
I think he saw Marlin and thought Martin. Who knows?
He was excited because there were lights at Nashville this week. So
he was on vacation, so I guess I'll give him a little break.
Right. Yeah, lights at Nashville. So we had the 7:30 p.m. or 7 p.m. start Nashville for the Cup Series, which really was a 6 p.m. start local because it's Nashville. But we're doing it again in 2 weeks at Atlanta, which I'll be there, James, just for the record.
Yes, you will.
I'll be at Atlanta Motor Speedway for that one. So yeah, the rumor is it's a little test to see these night races, Sunday night races. NBC wants NASCAR to be a Sunday night primetime event going forward in the new contract. So kind of testing out, see how it does. I didn't look at the ratings. I think Nashville did good, didn't they?
Oh yeah, I just saw them. Yeah, they had over 3 million viewers. Yeah. It was up 1% from last year. Yeah. So
sellout in the grandstands again. How many grandstand sellouts do we have this year so far? It's been pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yep.
Really good.
Yep.
Really good to see. And that's one thing I wanted to mention too. You know, we talked about that this track was a placeholder for the fairgrounds, which fairgrounds again continues to look like it's going to happen, but there's just that little bit of resistance that's slowing it down. Well, a lot of resistance, but the main resistance that's slowing it down. But you know, we sit here and talk about, can we have two races in the same town? It's really easy to forget that, you know, Nashville Super Speedway really is 45 minutes outside of Nashville. It's not anywhere near Nashville Fairgrounds. If you look at some of the other tracks in, you know, the North Carolina area and stuff, those tracks are an hour apart, and we are all right having multiple races there. I think Nashville's a big enough market and a big enough race town. I mean, Nashville's such a natural fit for NASCAR that I think they could certainly support two races there on different tracks, don't you?
Yeah, I think they would be okay, and then Bristol would have one date.
Yeah.
Bristol would just be the night race.
Yeah.
Which
I'd really like to see SMI find a way to put a date back at Kentucky too, especially with this car, because the Xfinity Series ran good at Kentucky, the Truck Series ran good at Kentucky, but the Cup Series was terrible. With this car, the way it's racing on 1.5 mile tracks, I'd love to give Kentucky another shot.
Yeah, Kentucky and Chicagoland.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
Funny enough.
Definitely. I'm you know, obviously a little biased there, but I honestly, I see the potential for Kentucky before I see the potential for Chicagoland, just because Chicagoland, just that property is so valuable. You know, they're going to sell it if they can.
Oh yeah. Yep.
As soon as if this weekend is a test, James, and if this is a success and they see a long-term future here, they're going to bulldoze that Chicagoland Speedway.
Yeah,
there's no reason to keep it in the portfolio if this race is successful.
That's right. Yep.
But we'll see. We'll see. James, where can people hit you up on social media this week if they want to chat with you about the street race?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/TheSuperspeedway. Our website address is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and Anchor. Subscribe wherever you heard us this week for new episodes each week. And if you go to anchor.fm/TheSuperspeedway, you can leave us an audio message, and we might just play it on the show. It's been a long time coming, several years in the making, many years in the making. We are finally going street racing the NASCAR Cup Series and Xfinity Series this weekend at Chicago on the streets. I'll be back next week to break it all down and preview the upcoming weekend at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.